Hello again. It's been a long time since I've read you a chapter. I think I made a mistake in picking somebody else's room to read in because that somebody else wanted their room back and I can't blame them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm back in the attic and I'm going to read you the stories from here, but I'm going down to the other bedroom to do the DVD extras because that's where the doll's house is. So welcome back. Thank you for being patient to 5 Dolls in a House by Helen Clare. We're on chapter 3 today, which is called Measles. There you go. There's a picture of Vanessa nursing Jane, and there's a very concerned Elizabeth at the end of the bed. It was a particularly chilly night in early spring, the sort that made Elizabeth's parents groan about the frost getting the apple buds, which reminded Elizabeth that the dolls had no blankets. So she found an old blanket square which used to belong to the doll's pram, and cut it neatly up into pieces to fit the beds in the house. 1 or 2 she sewed around in her best blanket stitch, but she was so excited about visiting the dolls again that she couldn't finish the rest. She piled them up near the door. They'd be quite heavy to carry if you were only 6 inches tall. To her surprise, she noticed that the monkey, who was watching her as usual from the roof, had a large piece of rag tied round his nose and mouth. "What on earth are you wearing that bandage for, monkey?" The monkey's reply sounded very muffled. "It's to catch the germs. All the germs floats up the chimbley, you see, and hits me in the face. And it either means my moving away from the chimbley to escape them, which I won't do on account of missing all the fun, or else wearing this mask. You must be ignorant if you don't know doctors wear masks." "But you're not a doctor." "It's a great pity I'm not." "Why? Whatever's going on?" "You'd better go and see. I can't talk any more because the bits of this bandage are getting in my mouth." Elizabeth by this time was feeling quite alarmed, and instead of waiting to knock at the door, she pushed it open and walked in. If someone were ill, she would not want to be disturbed with knocks at the door. She dumped the blankets in the hall. A voice spoke in a loud whisper from over the banisters. "Why, if there isn't Mrs. Small with dozens of blankets! You couldn't have come more in the nick of time. You'll never guess what's happened. Jane's got the measles. All spots. Very large and beautiful ones came out today. Amanda, come and attend to Mrs. Small while I go back to Jane. Are you afraid of measles, Mrs. Small? If so, don't come upstairs." Elizabeth hoped that doll measles weren't catchable by humans. And anyway, even if they were, she felt she must stay and help with poor Jane. Amanda came out of the kitchen rather tearfully, wearing a white cap and an apron with a large red cross on it. The cross was evidently done with Vanessa's rouge. Lupin followed, dressed the same, and holding a basin in her hand. "Oh, Mrs. Small, poor Jane's so ill, poor thing, and Lupin and I aren't allowed to go in case we catch it. That's why we've got these red crosses on. Vanessa says if we wear red crosses we can't catch the measles. She says that the germs that fly about and give people measles see the red crosses and daren't come near you. So she did them with her rouge. And she's having all the fun. She says she's the sister and we're only the VADs. She won't let us do anything except go up and down stairs with basins and things. Do you happen to know what VADs are, Mrs. Small?" "Well, I think they're a kind of extra nurse that doesn't get paid," said Elizabeth. "Where's Jacqueline?" "Oh, we don't know. In her bedroom, we think. As Vanessa said, if she caught it, she wouldn't nurse her, as she was only a paying guest. Isn't Vanessa a beanie?" "Oh, I expect she's only teasing. What have you got in the basin, Lupin?" The 2 nurses looked at each other and giggled. "You'll never guess, Mrs. Small. It's that jelly Vanessa said Jane must be fed on something nice and soft. And as we couldn't cut the jelly up, we boiled it and boiled it for hours and hours. I tasted a tiny taste just to see it was all right, and it was lovely." "Oh, poor Lupin, I'll bring you another. Now come on, take it up and I'll bring the blankets." So they trooped upstairs in a row, Elizabeth and Amanda carrying the blankets between them, and Lupin carrying the jelly. The stairs were very narrow, and the banisters so very shaky that Elizabeth was afraid she and the blankets would get stuck forever. "I must ask Edward to stick these banisters in more firmly," she thought to herself. "They're quite dangerous." However, they got to the top at last. Lupin spilt a little jelly on the top step, which he scooped up with her finger and ate, looking rather guilty. Here they are. trying to get up the stairs to give the things to Vanessa. Vanessa came out of Jane's room.
Come along, you two VADs. What a time you've taken. Give me the jelly, Lupin. And the blankets, Amanda. Now, you can go and get some hot water, ready to do anything that may need hot water. Oh, come along, Mrs. Small. It's very genteel of you to call. And the blankets. I shall put them on Jane at once. At the moment, she only has a rug off the floor, which is too full of germs to be good for her.
Poor Amanda and Lupin went downstairs again, and Elizabeth gazed at Vanessa in amazement. She was wearing a white cap, like the others, but she had put it on over her hat, and the feather curled up over the cap, making her look like a cockatoo with a blue and white crest. She had an apron, but no red cross.
I couldn't afford any more rouge, and anyway, the germs must know I'm the sister, and if I were going to catch it, I would have caught it by now. But would you like a red cross? She finished doubtfully.
No, thank you, said Elizabeth. But I want to see poor Jane. How long has she been ill?
Oh, only since this morning. Just look at this delicious jelly those clever VADs have made. I'm very pleased with them, as a matter of fact. But I'm not going to tell them so, or they may get conceited, and then they'll be sure to catch measles.
Just as Elizabeth was going into Jane's room after Sister Vanessa, she heard a creak at the door opposite and turned to see Jacqueline peeping out.
"Hello," she whispered.
"Hello. Is Jane more better?" "Not yet, I don't think." "Is she about to die?" "Oh, no." "What is she having to eat?" "Boiled jelly." "I thought so." And Jacqueline shut her door sadly. Elizabeth followed Vanessa.
"Who was that you were talking to?" "The spying guess. She's been peeping all the morning. If she's not careful, I'll lock her in. Look, here's poor Jane."
"Oh, dear Jane, do you feel very ill?" Jane nodded her head. She looked very pale except for her spots, and a large tear nestled in the corner of her eye like a drop of rain in a lupin leaf. Then it fell plop on the rug.
Come, come, don't cry, Jane. Here's a whole shop full of blankets to keep you warm and a jelly to make you sticky."
And Vanessa moved the rug and arranged some of the blankets, while Elizabeth put the rest outside in case they should get germy. Jacqueline's door shut quickly as she opened Jane's. Then Vanessa sat by the bed and fed Jane with jelly.
"Oh, we haven't a spoon, unfortunately, Mrs. Small. All the spoons went in the last burglary, and a knife is rather flat for jelly. However, we mustn't grumble. A fork would be even worse."
The knife was dreadful. First it dropped the jelly over Jane's face, for the jelly was very liquid after having been boiled for so long. And then when it did get near her mouth, it caught her tongue, and then it went in too far and made her choke. There was a great deal of jelly everywhere, except in Jane's mouth. "Next time I come, I'll bring you an old salt spoon, Vanessa. Do you have burglaries very often?"
"A new dessert spoon would be better, and more genteel, but if you can only manage the other kind, never mind." "Oh, yes, we have them as a regular thing. You see, it's that front taking out, or else because the back windows won't close. That's enough now, Jane. I'll get those lazy VADs to bring the hot water and wash off this stick, which is a bit too much to be good for the measles." There was a knock at the door. "That'll be kind, Amanda, with the hot water. No, don't come in. Leave it outside. Why, good gracious, Mrs. Small. Just you come and look at this. I never did see such a disgrace. So quickly, too. It's quite indecent. She must go to the hospital, for I won't nurse her. This isn't a nursing home."
Outside the door stood dear Jacqueline. She was in her petticoat, and her face and neck and arms were covered with huge red spots. "I should think you have. You'd better go straight down to the doctor." "No, she hadn't then. Don't be unkind, Vanessa. Go to bed at once, Jacqueline dear, and I'll bring some blankets and see to you in a minute." Vanessa looked quite taken aback, and her feather danced about angrily. But she was a doll who made the best of a bad job, so she merely called down the stairs, quite forgetting Jane, who was ill, in a very loud and sister-like tone.
"Lupin, bring some more hot water." Not that they've brought any yet, you know, because that stove does take so long. The jelly took hours. "And Amanda, come and heat up this jelly again. We shall need it for the paying guest."
"Oh, please don't heat it up any more, Vanessa. Let it set a bit, because it's so runny."
"Very well, Mrs. Small. You should know as it's your jelly, but when I learned to cook, which I did in a genteel way many years ago, we never gave invalids hard things."
The other dolls came pattering up the stairs, spilling hot water all the way. It was in a saucepan and a teapot.
"And we have no jug that is big enough, you see. Most unfortunate and unhygienic to use the teapot, but never mind."
"I'll have the saucepan to do, Jacqueline. And Vanessa, hadn't I better have one of the VADs to help me? It's rather dull for them, you know."
"Oh, yes, let's,"
said both VADs excitedly. So that was settled. When Elizabeth went into Jacqueline's room, she was in bed and looking very pink. "Now, Jacqueline, first you have to be washed and then fed and then washed again because of the jelly."
"I won't be washed."
"Oh, you must. Lupin, hold the saucepan."
No, jelly first.
It was very strange, thought Elizabeth, that Jacqueline's spots had come so suddenly, and she did not look at all ill.
"I won't be washed."
"All right, don't scream. Here's the jelly first, then mind, it's rather wet." Jacqueline grabbed the saucepan and drank several large gulps of jelly before Elizabeth could take it away. And then she smiled broadly. "I must have some for Jane, Jacqueline, and you must be washed."
"I won't."
"I knows why she won't be washed," said a voice, very muffled, down the chimney.
"She's painted all them spots on with rouge, Vanessa's rouge. I sees her doing it."
It was quite true. Elizabeth took a piece of rag and rubbed, and the spots spread into large red patches. Lupin shrieked with laughter, and Jacqueline began to cry. "Oh, Jacqueline, you naughty thing," said Elizabeth.
"I wanted some jelly,"
sobbed Jacqueline. All right. If you stop crying at once and clean yourself, I won't tell Vanessa anything about it. I'll say you've had a quick attack of measles and you're quite better. Now come on, do."
"She'd better put the rouge back," said the monkey's voice. "She's forgotten that."
So Lupin pattered out with the rouge, and Elizabeth went to see Vanessa. "I'm going now, sister, but you needn't worry about Jacqueline. It was a quick attack, and she's quite better. She'll be able to get up this afternoon. Goodbye, dear little Jane. I shall come and see you again."
"Jane's much better too, Mrs. Small, and I'm thinking of letting her get up soon," said Vanessa in her loud whisper.
Her feather looked very draggled and solid, as if it was stuck up with jelly.
"Many thanks for calling, and for the beautiful blankets. This nursing gets a little tiring after a while, and some fresh air would do us all good, even Jane. Goodbye. Say goodbye, VADs, and then you can go off duty." Goodbye,
said the nurses. As Elizabeth walked away, she saw Jacqueline rubbing hard at the rouge on her arms with one of the new blankets.
"I suppose I can take this thing off now if them measles are over. I've caught lots of germs on it. They're black."
It was the monkey speaking. "But you can't see germs?"
"You can see these. That's why I told Jane she'd got measles. It was me what started it. They're black germs."
"Those aren't germs at all, you stupid animal. They're smuts. They must have had a fire. And how did Jane get her spots anyway?"
"Must have imagined them, I suppose."
"Oh, well, really," said Elizabeth. "What a fuss about nothing. I'll never believe they're ill again, any of them." And that's the end of chapter 3. And we're back tomorrow with chapter 4, which is called Baths. See you then. Thanks for joining me. Bye.